I'm Barb.
And I'm Alex.
And we're Enchanterium. In this video, we'll be making Octavia the Occamy from Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Occamies are serpentine body creatures with wings. They can grow or shrink to fit available space. For this custom, we're using this Lagoona blue doll because she already had her legs destroyed. First, I'm going to take her head off by warming it up in a cup of hot water. For the head though, we're going to use this also broken Vandala Doubloons.
First of all, I'm going to remove her hair. I'm cutting a slit to scrape out the glue and retrieve the neck peck. I'm going to glue the slit back together later. To remove her factory paint, I'm using acetone. I start with a rough sketch of basic features, add some blushing, and start detailing the face. I'm going for a girly and cute expression on her face-up. Even though the lips are red at the moment, I didn't like how they turned out, so I changed them into this golden color to match the Occamy's beak. I've given her a pink eyeshadow on the bottom and drew my favorite part, the brows. After pencils, I move on to acrylic paint, gold in this case, to bring out the eyes.
For the hair, we had some leftover white wefts, so we decided to dye them. I'm using a mixture of isopropyl alcohol and alcohol inks to make a wash. I laid the hair on some ceramic tiles and using a brush I soaked them. After they dried, I'm gluing them directly onto the doll's head in this kinda wide mohawk hairstyle. I start gluing them around the hairline I want and then fill in the middle. I'm cutting up the wefts I didn't use to make some flocking for the sides of the head. I apply glue to where I want it to sit and pat the flocking on. After the glue dried, I brushed off the excess with a dry paintbrush. To make the snake body, first I remove the leftover lower limbs and then make a wire base. I'm covering it in tin foil to make the armature to save on weight and materials. I wrap it in some more wire and start covering it in some scrapped polymer clay. I roll it out on my pasta machine first. To make it adhere to the foil better, I'm using Fimo Deco Gel, also known as Fimo Liquid. Then I roughly sculpt the shape and bake it. I added another base layer to thicken the tail up and baked it again. For the last layer, I took some softer, nicer looking clay and I wrapped it around the tail for the last time. I smooth this layer with some wipes dipped in rubbing alcohol. The snake skin has some texture, so I scrunch up tinfoil and pat it on the rock light. Then I bake it for the last time.
For some reason I painted the tail first, and then I realized I had to attach the body first. I'm using milliput for this. I think it's kinda like epoxy sculpt. You basically mix two parts of putty together and it cures over a couple of hours. I like wetting my hands to make it really smooth. I fill the space in between the body and the tail and then sculpt the booty and smooth the seam. I'm adding the texture to this part as well. Having mixed the putty, I also sculpted her some horns and paint them gold. I paint the tail again, using acrylic paints mixed with Perlex powders in blue, green and purple shades. I'm adding dots for a visual interest and some detail on the rest of the body. Time to address her chest. We didn't feel like any garment would suit a snake, so we decided to cover her up in some pearls. I just add them using some regular glue and paint them to match.
Please excuse the lack of quality in the shots, I actually made these first before I switched to using a proper camera. Anyways, I'm cutting these wing shapes out of craft foam. Using a toothpick, I add some feathery texture. In the end, I cut 2 big, 4 medium and 4 small layers.
To paint the wings, I mix up a couple different shades of purple acrylic paint. I added a few coats, some of which had a pinch of my favorite Perlex micro glitter.
To assemble these, I'm using a wire for some posability. Using hot glue, I layer the wire between the large and one of the medium pieces, and then glue on the rest. I don't put glue on the entire surface, so the feathers can stick out a bit. It's pretty self-explanatory. Sandwich the biggest piece in the medium pieces, and then sandwich that with the small pieces. I did that for both of the wings. For the final small piece, I first glued on the side to hide the layers and wrap it to the back. To put them into the doll, I wrapped the wire around the tip and drilled 2 holes in the doll's back. I drilled them slowly, little by little, with my Dremel tool. First, I tried to glue them in, but failed miserably. They were falling all over the place. My last resort was the epoxy putty. I wrapped a small snake of the stuff around the hole and smoothed it out. After it cured, Alex painted it to match the rest of the body. This is how she turned out! We enjoyed making this doll as much as watching Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. We're looking forward to seeing the second part of the movie.
What is your favorite Fantastic Beast? Tell us in the comment section below.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram for some sneak peeks and subscribe for future videos. Have an enchanted day, and we'll see you next time.